What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, and today is May 26, 2026, and let me tell you, the market is absolutely cooking today. We have got a semiconductor giant ripping over 11%, an AI chip darling pushing toward all-time highs, and a healthcare titan holding strong above $1,000 a share. We are also looking at two names on the downside that have some serious decisions to make at key technical levels. I am going to give you the full breakdown of price targets, key support and resistance, RSI readings, volume analysis, everything you need to trade these names with confidence. Let's get straight into it. Alright, kicking things off with the biggest mover of the day, QUALCOMM, ticker QUALCOMM, absolutely on fire today with a gain of 11.6%, trading at $238.16. Now let me put that in context for you. This stock was sitting at its 52-week low of just under $122 back earlier in the year. That is a near doubling in price, and today's move is a massive acceleration to the upside. Let's look at the technicals because they are screaming. QUALCOMM is trading well above its 20-day simple moving average of 194.90 and its 50-day SMA of 156.56. In fact, today's price essentially equals the 200-day moving average, which tells me this stock has done a full round trip and is now at a make-or-break inflection point from a longer-term trend perspective. The RSI is sitting at 71, that is technically overbought territory, folks. Anything above 70 warrants caution if you are chasing the move. Volume today is 30,332,000 shares versus an average of 23,600,000, that is a volume ratio of 1.28, so we have got meaningful but not explosive volume confirmation behind this move. Now, what is driving this? QUALCOMM is a dominant force in mobile chipsets and increasingly in automotive and AI edge computing. Any positive news around smartphone demand recovery, AI PC chip wins, or licensing revenue beats can send this name flying. At 238, we are right up against the 52-week high of 247.90, that is your immediate resistance level. A clean break above 248 in this stock could see a continuation push toward 265 to 270 in the near term. Support on a pullback sits at the 20-day moving average around 195, and a deeper flush takes you to the 50-day around 156. For traders, this is a momentum play, but do not chase blindly at RSI 71. If you are already long, protect those gains. If you are looking to enter, wait for a small consolidation or a dip back toward 220 to 225 for a better risk-reward setup. Next up, we are flipping to the red side of the ledger. Coinbase Global, ticker COIN, down 4.43% today, trading at $184.99. Now on the surface, a 4% drop sounds rough, but let me show you why this chart actually has me paying very close attention right now. First, let's zoom out. Coin hit a 52-week high of $444.65. It is now sitting at 185, that is a drawdown of over 58% from peak. The 6-month high was 277, so even on an intermediate-term basis, this thing has been in a serious downtrend. Here is where it gets interesting technically. The RSI is at 40.9, that is approaching oversold territory but not quite there yet. The stock is trading below both its 20-day SMA of 196.53 and its 50-day SMA of 191.08. That is a bearish alignment, price below both short and medium-term moving averages, and the 200-day SMA essentially converges right at the current price of 185. So right here, right now, coin is sitting on a critical long-term trend line. Volume is relatively light at 7.89 million shares versus an average of 7.6 million, a ratio of just 1.04. That tells me there is no panic selling yet, which is actually somewhat encouraging for the bulls. The PE ratio of 68 is elevated, which is common for crypto-correlated names, and earnings need to grow into that valuation. The key question is, does coin hold the 200-day moving average at 185, or does it crack? If it breaks below 180, your next support is around the 6-month low of 141. But if Bitcoin stabilizes and risk appetite returns, coin could bounce hard back toward 210 to 220. For aggressive traders, this is a speculative watch near support. For most investors, wait for a confirmed reversal with RSI turning upward before committing capital. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting charts in the entire market right now, Advanced Micro Devices, ticker AMD, up 3.99% today, trading at $467.51. This stock has been an absolute rocket ship, and the technicals are backing up every bit of that bullish narrative. Let's start with the moving averages because they paint a perfect picture. AMD is trading at 467 versus a 20-day SMA of 405.90 and a 50-day SMA of 303.19. That gap between the current price and the 50-day is extraordinary. We are talking over $160 of separation. This tells you the momentum has been relentless over the past several months. The 52-week low was $108.62. AMD has more than quadrupled from those lows. The RSI sits at 75.2, that is the most overbought reading in our top 5 today. Typically, RSI above 70 signals a stock is extended, but in strong AI-driven momentum rallies, RSI can stay elevated for weeks or even months. Volume today is 34.6 million shares against an average of 33 million, a ratio of 1.05, so this is fairly normal volume, which means the move is not being driven by unusual speculation, it is just steady, consistent buying pressure. The 52-week high is 481.41. AMD is within shooting distance of an all-time high territory. If it breaks through 482 convincingly, you could see a rapid push toward $500, a huge psychological milestone. The market cap is now $762 billion, which puts it firmly in megacap territory. The PE ratio of 156 is lofty, but this is a company the market is pricing for massive future earnings growth as AMD's MI series AI accelerator chips compete directly with NVIDIA in the data center space. For long-term investors, AMD remains a top conviction AI infrastructure play. For traders, the risk-reward is trickier up here. Respect the RSI, and consider scaling in on any dips toward the 400 to 420 range. Alright, number 4 on our list today is Strategy Inc., formerly known as MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR, down 3.01% today, trading at $159.89. This is the famous Bitcoin treasury company led by Michael Saylor, and the chart here is telling a very different story from our bullish names today. Let's look at the technicals. MSTR hit a 52-week high of $457.22. It is now at $159, that is a drawdown of approximately 65%. The 6-month high was $195.94, and the 6-month low was $106.99. Right now, we are sitting in the middle of that 6-month range, and the RSI of 35.5 is pushing toward oversold territory. Below 30 would be the classic oversold signal. Here is the interesting technical setup. MSTR is currently below its 20-day SMA of 175.26 but trading just above its 50-day SMA of 154.84. That 50-day at 155 is a critical near-term support level. If it loses that level, 140 to 145 becomes the next target, with the 52-week low of 104.17 is the worst-case scenario for the bulls. Volume today is 12.7 million shares versus an average of 12.47 million, a ratio of just 1.02. Essentially average volume on the decline, which suggests no capitulation yet. The company has no traditional PE ratio because its earnings are driven entirely by Bitcoin price fluctuations. Let's be honest, if you own MSTR, you are essentially making a leveraged bet on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin rallies, MSTR amplifies those gains. If Bitcoin corrects, MSTR amplifies those losses. With RSI at 35 and support at the 50-day moving average, contrarian traders might find this interesting for a short-term bounce, but the longer-term trend remains under pressure. Manage risk carefully here. Last but certainly not least, and honestly one of my favorite long-term setups in the entire market, Eli Lilly and Company, ticker Eli Lilly, up 2.24% today, trading at $1,065 per share. Yes, you heard that right, over $1,000 a share, with a market cap approaching $950 billion. Eli Lilly is closing in on becoming the next trillion-dollar healthcare company, and the fundamentals support every dollar of that valuation. Let's walk through the technicals. Eli Lilly is trading at $1,065, which is well above its 20-day SMA of 972.75 and its 50-day SMA of 941.92. The stock is in a clean uptrend, price above the 20-day, 20-day above the 50-day. RSI is sitting at 70.9, approaching overbought but not extreme, and for a high-quality compounder like Lilly, RSI in the high 60s to low 70s has historically been a normal operating range during bull legs. Volume today is 3.47 million shares versus an average of 2.99 million, a volume ratio of 1.16, so we are seeing modestly elevated buying interest today, which is a positive confirmation signal for the upside move. The 52-week high is 1133.95, which means Eli Lilly has about 6.5% of upside before testing those all-time high levels. The 6-month high of 1106.19 is immediate overhead resistance. If Eli Lilly breaks cleanly above $1,100, the path to $1,150 to $1,200 opens up significantly. What is driving Lilly? You already know the answer: GLP-1 drugs. Mounjaro and Zepbound for diabetes and obesity have created an unprecedented revenue growth trajectory. The global obesity drug market is projected to be worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and Lilly is fighting for the top spot against Novo Nordisk. At a P of 37.87, this is not cheap, but for the growth rate Lilly is delivering, many analysts consider this valuation entirely justified. This is a name I want to own for the next 3 to 5 years, not just the next 3 months. And that is a wrap for today's Top 5 Stock Breakdown, May 26, 2026. Let's do a quick recap. Qualcomm is the big momentum winner today at plus 11.6%. Watch that RSI in the 248 resistance level. AMD continues its AI-fueled charge toward $500. Eli Lilly remains a long-term powerhouse above $1,000. Coinbase and Strategy Inc. are the names to watch carefully at key support levels with RSI approaching oversold. If you found this analysis valuable, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow and reach more investors just like you. Subscribe if you are not already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily market breakdowns. Drop a comment below. Which of these 5 stocks are you watching or trading? I read every single comment. I will see you in the next one. Stay disciplined, manage your risk, and as always, trade smart.